Okay, so you've decided you need a new car. You've done your needs analysis. You've done a lot of research online and you found two great cars. Same price, same options, same color, same year, almost identical mileage. But one's at a dealer and one a private sale fella is selling it. What do you do? Do you know what you need to know? Well, you can learn it here. Welcome back, Buyer's Blueprint. Today I want to talk a little bit about the differences between buying a car through a dealership and buying a car privately. And you might ask yourself, well, why is this important, Paul? Let me tell you. So there are advantages and disadvantages to both, and really it depends on what you're comfortable with, because some people are better at negotiating or more comfortable with it. Doesn't mean they're good negotiators. Some people are really scared of salesmen, or the dealership, or maybe they're agoraphobic, the one where you're scared of big, spaces, big dealerships scare them. Wow. Or maybe, you bought a car privately and you got burned. It's a concern, right? It's there, it's real. And so what I want to do is talk a little bit about both. So for example, at a dealership, so back to the two cars, right? They're identical. So you found identical cars and they're, what do you do? So I want to set that example up. Why? Because then you're not saying, well, Paul, this car is different than there, and that's why I'd go there. I want them to be identical. And actually, if you do a lot of research, you might find it is the identical car. A fellow was selling it privately, couldn't get what he wanted selling it privately, and finally said, you know what, I can't wait any longer. I don't know how to run a proper Auto Trader ad. I'm not getting any calls on my, I've totally asked way too much, or whatever. The reason it needed reconditioning and I didn't do it, and everyone who came down said, well, I'm not going to buy this car. It needs a new whatever, which is a lot of money. And he didn't have the money to pay to fix it before he went to sell it, right? No one wants to buy a car that needs repairs, which is a big reason why a lot of people go to a dealer. So you might actually find a car that you found private sale, for X, and then you find an identical car, identical mileage. And what? There's two identical cars. Well, the guy hasn't, terminated his ads yet, or they haven't expired, and he just gave up and he went and traded it in and got his tax credit, et cetera, and bought the car he was after, or whatever. So you might actually find they are the same car, but I want to make sure that we're dealing with the same car so there's no confusion. So dealers are regulated. So you have recourse. If something weird happens and you're driving off the lot and you get home and you park the car and the engine literally falls out of the car, you can call a dealer and say, hey, something's up. We got to talk about this. 99% of dealers would be more than happy to fix the problem, because it was something that they should have discovered before they sold the car, because they're regulated. They're mandated to put an inspection on every car before they sell it. It has to meet certain requirements to the new owner for a certain amount of time. And they don't want the bad PR, the bad press, and one phone call to the right vehicle sales authority in your state or province will smarten them up really fast. Anyway, whereas a private person can say, hey, yeah, this car is great. I serviced it every year, oiled, never needed anything, and everything's great. But they're not regulated. They can tell you that, and if you believe them and don't get the car inspected and you put the car into your name, you drive it home and the engine falls out, you're an owner. It's your car. It doesn't matter. They have absolutely no recourse. They can't. You can't go after them. I mean, you can go after them in small claims maybe, but that'd cost you money and time, and it would be a waste of your time and money. So there it is. And so also with a dealership, you get you have a place to go back to service the vehicle. You have, they'll provide you with a Carfax. It's included in the sale price of the car. There's an inspection that'll come along with it. Now, if you're going to a private person, in this same case scenario with the two cars identical, if you're a good seller, you would be wise, smart to have a Carfax provided, either when people are flipping through the photos of your car, it could be like the first page of the Carfax, which has the majority of the information on it, which is a smart idea to do. I get into that in another video, but that's a smart thing to do, and it also provides confidence to the people looking at the car, like, oh, there's the car proof, there's all the information I need to know. That's great, the VIN matches and all that good stuff. And then the next good thing a good seller should do is also get the car inspected. Let's say it's a Nissan car, go to Nissan and get they'll call it different things like a pre-purchase inspection or a confidence, purchase confidence, whatever. They got a bunch of different names for it. But anyways, it's like a 150-point inspection. And you have that available too to the potential buyer on your private sale car you're trying to sell. But a lot of people, 99%, don't do that. So it's on you as the consumer to do your due diligence when buying it. And some people just aren't very comfortable with doing that, or they don't know any better, which is why I'm here to tell you about it, because it could save you lots of money. So for example, let's say the two cars are identical and this one is $1,000 less. So you think, oh, $1,000. Yeah, that's wow. I'm never going to go to the dealer. It's such a ripoff. It's $1,000. Well, sure. But how much is a new transmission? Right? So all these little things, it all adds up in the end. It all works out in the end, which is why I also, with the right type of warranty and the right price and term and mileage and all these things, I think warranties are fantastic, because I'd rather pay $25 a month than have to buy a new engine, or even like a stupid window or a part, that's going to be $1,000. $25 goes into $1,000 probably before your finance runs out, if you know what I'm saying, right? You'll always end up ahead. It's like an investment. And plus, you don't have to worry about it. You go to start the car, you don't have to worry about all these little things. So that is another one of the reasons why I like going to a dealer, but that shouldn't preclude private sales. But one of the things that you should be looking at when you're talking about private sales versus a dealership sale is whether or not you have a trade. If you are looking to unload a car, you could save yourself the time and headache from having to list the car properly, like I would list a car, or I would have you listing a car. And that would be something you could do going to a dealer, because then you would be able to unload your car instantly. You would be able to get tax break, which would bring the car up closer, sometimes even more than retail pricing, selling privately with no hassle. And you get it done all in one day, done. Time is money too, right? So that's one of the things about going to a dealer. Now, let's say you don't have a trade. Well, then you have to look at the two cars, private versus dealer, very closely, and make sure you cover your butt on things like car proof. You do a VIN check, make sure the car's not stolen. You could also do a check to see if there's any, which might be listed on a Carfax in certain instances, whether or not there is a recall on the car that needs to be done. Let's see what else. Private sale. Well, if you need financing, Joe Blow isn't going to offer you financing on the new car, right? He's definitely not going to offer you a warranty. You drive it away, you pay him for the car. Anything happens, you're paying for the repairs, not Joe Blow. So there's all these little things you need to be aware of when you're shopping for a car, and put it to the price, right? So the two cars are identically priced. Well, security, reliability, recourse, the ability to get financing, the ability to drop your trade off and get a tax credit, and all these things. Well, tax credits are pretty much every province and state except for 5 or 6, I think. I think only states have no tax credit. 5 states. I think it's across Canada. Anyway, so this is where you need to do more of your own needs analysis to discover what your needs are that are important to you. So, do you want the security of getting a warranty through a dealership? And I'll get into a video on that as well, about what different types of warranties there are and what you should be paying approximately for them, and the fact that they're negotiable and things like that. But do you have the trade? Do you need financing, leasing? Because you could get financing yourself through your own bank, but I bet that I know the dealership can get you a better rate. A lot of people say, oh, well, I got a line of credit. Well, that's dangerous, because A, your interest is compounded daily, and B, you get on the Never Never program. I'm just going to pay interest only. I bought a boat, and I'm just going to pay the boat off faster, and only pay the interest only on the line of credit for the car, which is probably associated with your mortgage. And now all of a sudden you'd be paying off that car for 30 years, interest only. And so now you went from a 2.5% or 3% rate, instead of paying like, let's say 4 or 5 on a car loan. Now you've never paid any principal down. You're still paying interest. It's all interest. You're paying 100% interest because it's all interest. You haven't paid any principal down. Trouble. So you got to look out for that. And then also, depending on, if you're buying the car privately, you have to make sure that you're taking it to the right place to get inspected. And how really do they dig in? I know a lot of these consumer confidence inspections, they don't really dig in too deep, So for example, they'll do a 150-point inspection and they'll say, oh yeah, everything works. We turned the ignition and the car started. That's right. And then, all the windows went up and down. That's great, right? Oh, yeah. And, whatever, maybe they just did the oil, or maybe the seller just did the oil with a receipt, a couple months ago, and that's great, right? So it needs nothing. But at the same time, like, if you're in the business long enough, they're trading in the Lexus. Okay, well, we've really got to check that transmission, because certain Lexus transmissions at a certain, like an exact kilometer or mileage distance driven, there's a good chance that the transmission is going to fall out. Or Aston Martin, lookout engine. I can think about all these different cars and give you examples, but I'm not trying to show off how well I know any particular car, because I don't really. You hear enough of it being in the business, buying and selling and trading, and then you pay a certain amount for a trade, and then you find out that it needs to do this, and all of a sudden, now you've overpaid for the car, which is the same thing as a consumer buying a car from somebody and then having to fix something, and that you bought the car and you had to pay all this extra money to fix that problem. It's the same thing. It's now you've overpaid for the car, right? Whereas if you had it inspected properly at the proper place, or if you bought it from a dealer and you had a bit of recourse, and maybe you got a warranty, you don't need to worry about that kind of thing. But anyways, those are some of the things that you should analyze before seeing 2 cars for sale, one privately and one at a dealership at the exact same price. Realize that they're not the same price. They're not. If you got a trade or not, if you need financing, warranties, if the guy's inspected or not, if you've done a car proof, maybe you still got to loan the car. Maybe there's a lien on it somewhere. All these different things you can get caught up with. And it's a lot of brain damage. It's a lot to think about. So you've got to know where to go, what links to check out, to do the research on really discovering what you could be on the hook for with buying that private car. And I'm not dissuading you from doing that, but I'm just saying that they're not the same car. They're not the same price, and you need to know that. And thank you for watching. And if you have something that is, making you a little bit apprehensive on your next car, let me know what it is. Put a comment below and I'll try to do a video on that specifically. And click the link, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll see you on the next video. And good day.